Congresswoman Elise Stefanik was elected on Friday to replace you as the number 3 Republican in the House leadership, and she wasted very little time in saying what she thinks about all this. Take a look.
I support President Trump. Voters support President Trump. He is an important voice in our Republican Party, and we look forward to working with him.
What do you think of Stefanik?
Well, I think she's wrong. You know, when you have a former president who did what Donald Trump did, who provoked an attack on our Capitol to try to stop the counting of electoral votes, to try to steal the election, a former president who continues to threaten the democracy in the way that he's forfeited
let me just interrupt,
his opportunity to.
Well, I just want to ask you, I understand what you say about Trump. I'm asking you about Stefanik, who is wrapping herself in the mantle of Donald Trump. You said to play along with the big lie is to betray Republican voters. Is she betraying Republican voters?
You know, what I said in my last remarks to the conference as chairwoman of the conference was that if they were looking for leaders who would be complicit in spreading the big lie, I wasn't their person, that there were plenty of other people who would do that. I think that it is fundamentally dangerous, and I think it's wrong. And I think as Republicans, especially, we have a responsibility to stand up and to say we believe in the Constitution. We will fight for that. We will fight for the rule of law, and to build that foundation so that we can get back the voters we lost in 2020. I mean, that is really a key here. We lost the House, the Senate, and the White House while Donald Trump was president. We've got to get voters back so that we can get Republicans back into position where our policies are the ones that are in place, that frankly are the ones that are necessary for the future of the nation.
During your round of interviews this week, you were also asked about House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, and here's what you had to say about him.
I think that he is not leading with principle right now, and I think that it's sad, and I think it's dangerous.
When you talk about him being dangerous and the way he's leading the party, and I asked this about both McCarthy and Elise Stefanik, are they being complicit in what you consider the Trump lies?
They are, and I'm not willing to do that. You know, I think that there are some things that have to be bigger than party, that have to be bigger than partisanship. Our oath to the Constitution is one of those. I've worked in countries around the world where you don't have a peaceful transition of power. What's happening right now with Donald Trump and his continued attacks on the Constitution and the rule of law is dangerous, and we all have an obligation to stand up against that.
You also say that Kevin McCarthy should testify, but what it appears is going to be a new commission to investigate the riot on January 6th, and should testify specifically about the conversation he had with the president on that day, where he reportedly called the president and said, "You got to call this off." And the president said, "Kevin, it appears some people are more interested in this election than you are." I asked Congressman McCarthy about that a couple of weeks ago. Take a look at that exchange. Has the president ever reached out to you since that report came out to discuss what you and he talked about in the January 6th phone call? And did you say to him, "I can't because we're under oath"?
No.
That never happened?
It's never happened.
And you would
never even close.
And if it did happen, you would agree that would be witness tampering?
Yeah, but never happened.
Congresswoman, do you know anything about that, whether or not Kevin McCarthy and Donald Trump talked and the president tried to reach out to, in effect, get their story straight about what happened in that January 6th phone call?
Leader McCarthy has spoken to a number of people in large groups and small groups since the 6th about his exchanges with the president. He's spoken publicly on the House floor about his view of the president's responsibility. I think it's very important that, he clearly has facts about that day, that an investigation into what happened, into the president's actions, ought to get to the bottom of. And I think that he has important information that needs to be part of any investigation, whether it's the FBI, the Department of Justice, or this commission that I hope will be set up.
What do you think that accomplishes if he testifies before the commission? I mean, I understand your concern about President Trump and what you say are his lies about the election, but what do you think it accomplishes to talk about a conversation on January 6th? Do you think it raises issues of President Trump's responsibility for the riot, whether or not he's trying to tamper with Kevin McCarthy as a witness?
Certainly. I mean, I think that any conversations, and we know certainly that conversation happened, any conversations that have gone on with the president about the president's potential involvement in January 6th, his potential determination not to step in and offer assistance, any conversations that have to do with, any members of Congress, those, people who may be retired. We know that there were conversations in the Oval Office before this about the possibility of declaring martial law and seizing, election and seizing the ballot machines. So I think that all of this really points to why it's so important that we have a commission. We've done that after Pearl Harbor. We did it after the Kennedy assassination. We did it after 9/11. It's the way that we as a country come together in a nonpartisan fashion to understand what happened, to get to the bottom of it. It must have subpoena power, and to begin to take steps so we can ensure it never happens again.